We all experience pain, fear, and love in different ways, and we go through totally different situations, yet we are still able to see a commonality. This is a quote by the Dalai Lama: "The true meaning of life. We are visitors on this planet. We are here for 90 or 100 years at the very most. During that period, we must try to do something good, something useful with our lives. If you contribute to other people's happiness, you will find the true goal, the true meaning of life." This is my interview with Amanda Heal. She uses her gift of communication to help others achieve success. Hi, this is Angel and my podcast, Mindfulness and Inspiration with a Dose of Shenanigans. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Amanda Heal. She survived being prematurely born in the 70s. She took up the challenge of her lifelong dream to share her message of courage and now speaks to audiences across the globe, helping others to achieve success. When not speaking, Amanda is a podcaster and a published author of multiple books. I want to thank you for chatting with me today, and I think that you are absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. My day has just started, so I've only been up for about half an hour, but so far it's going really well. Thank you.
And you are from Australia, so is it Tuesday there?
It is Tuesday morning at just after 9 a.m. Yes.
Okay. You all are pretty quiet in Australia. I mean, you don't make a lot of, traction in the news like America, unfortunately, but I would love to visit Australia one day. What is it like there?
Well, it's like America. It's a very big country. So up the north, it's humid and tropical. Down the south, it's quite cold. Like you, we have mountains with snow on them. And a lot of my friends from America think Australia is all desert, but no, it's not. And because it's a lot of desert in the middle, so most people live around the edge of Australia, all around the coast. So no, it's a very big country with big open spaces and long drives between places.
Well, from the pictures I see and everything, it sounds beautiful, and I would love a break from America. So I'm sure it's wonderful there.
Well, I would love to come back to America too. I've only visited Los Angeles, Vegas, and Orlando, and I would love to visit some more places in America.
So you did like it here?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Loved it.
I don't know. I mean, we don't have to get into it, but I kind of think America is more like for visiting. And I guess because I'm from here, I guess I have a biased opinion, and I'm kind of like, I'd rather see what's outside around the world, discover other places.
Absolutely. I totally get that. I'm really struggling with COVID, not being able to travel outside Australia. I'm finding that very hard. So I'm going on a holiday in just 3 more sleeps. So excited. And going from Canberra up to Darwin, which is like a 3.5-hour flight. It's I thought if I have to go on holidays in Australia, it has to be far away, it has to be hot, and there has to be lots of culture. So Darwin ticked all the boxes because it's up in the Northern Territory. It's humid and it's hot, and there's a very large Asian population up there. So there'll be lots of, and of course, Aboriginals in our Indigenous population, there's a lot of them up there as well. So I'll get lots of culture. So it ticked all the boxes.
Oh, it sounds lovely. I hope that you have lots of fun there.
I hope so. Thank you. All being well and no lockdowns or anything. Hopefully we'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. You were a lawyer for 17 years. What led you into that career?
I am totally blind, and I wanted to be I had done some work experience in school as a physiotherapist, or a physical therapist, I believe, as you call it in the US. And the only place where blind people could be trained to be physiotherapists was in London at that stage. And so I went over to London. I did the first 16 weeks of physio. My lecturers said, "Oh, you've got spatial awareness problems," which is the awareness of where my body is in space. And so the easiest thing is I find it very hard I never ever carry trays, because I usually end up tipping the stuff off the trays because I can't tell that they're level. So that they said, look, you'll have to do something more academic. And I was sitting in my aunt's lounge room that night, or a few days after that, because she lived in England, and I was crying saying, oh, I just wanted to be a physio and now I can't, and what should I do? And she said, well, you've got a good brain, why don't you be a lawyer? So that's how I started my legal career. I came back to Australia and couldn't get into law because I didn't have the marks, and so I got into commerce instead, into accounting. And in my second year of accounting, I did an introductory business law unit, which I just loved. And I went to the dean of the law school and said, oh, please, 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 can I transfer into law? I've got a credit average. And he said, yes, yes, all right, you can, but we don't want you to do a straight law degree. We want you to do a combined degree. So I ended up doing a combined commerce law degree.
That's very interesting. And in your book, you wrote, which we'll get more into your book, but you wrote that you wondered whether being a government lawyer was what you had been put on earth to do. So did something happen that led you to the conclusion that you feel like you needed more meaning to your life?
Well, no, it was my 27th birthday, and I was just sitting at work eating my lunch, and everyone else had gone out, and I think it was raining or something. That's why I didn't go outside to eat my lunch. And I'm just sitting there thinking, all of a sudden the question popped into my head, 27 years old, why am I here? Why have I been put on this earth? And I asked my colleagues and they didn't know. And I asked my family and they didn't know. And so I even read Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. And that didn't give me the answer either. And then I just forgot about it until later on when I lost my job. And so nothing particular happened. The question has just popped into my mind on my 27th birthday.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of people can understand that. And I can definitely understand that because I've had a lot of jobs, Amanda. I mean, it's a long list of jobs. And definitely I worked for the IRS, like they do taxes. And I felt like that. But the difference, you said you were happy doing that. I wasn't happy working at the IRS. But I definitely understand your point of view and like looking for more meaning to life. You described your life's purpose as like finding gold underground. I agree to this, your point of view, because like the process that you go through to get to finding your purpose is what can make you stronger. What was your journey like finding your life's purpose?
Well, as I said, I forgot about the whole question of purpose, and I just continued to build my law degree over the 17 years. And then in 2014 or 2013 there was a job freeze on, and so they weren't employing any new people in the government, and they were just moving people around at level, so you couldn't get any promotions or anything. And the agency I was working for was downsized, and we all had to reapply for our jobs, and I didn't get mine back, so I lost my job. And it was then that the question of purpose came back. I thought, oh, wow, I've got this chance now to do something else. And so I used a career tool called Career Storm Navigator, which I'm now actually qualified to take other people through. And that sort of asked lots of questions about my values and my strengths and my weaknesses and all that stuff. And that sort of really started me thinking. And I was invited to sell skincare for a network marketing company, and I jumped into that, ran away from my job and jumped into that, thinking that was perhaps the thing. But I should backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry. When I found out I was going to lose my job and I was crying, I was very upset because my job was my security, and my parents had always said, oh, stay in the government, you'll have a secure job for life, you'll be fine. And just to find out that no, my job wasn't secure and I was going to be without one. And I'm standing in the bathroom crying, and I heard this almost audible voice in my head saying, I have a job for you. And the voice also said, read the Bible. And I said, I don't want to read the Bible. I'm upset. I'm crying. And the voice said, read Jeremiah 29:11. And I'm not the sort of person who can say scriptures like that. I'm the sort of person who go, oh, I think in the Bible it says something like this. And anyway, I was surprised that I got the reference. So I looked up Jeremiah 29:11, and it said, I have a plan for you, plan for a hope and a future. And then the voice said, I've got a job for you. And I was like, whoa, that's something. So the Arbonne, I sold Arbonne through, I wasn't meant to say that, but anyway, I sold Arbonne and for a couple of years and lost more money than I made because I didn't follow the rules, because I pretty much couldn't. As a blind person, it's very hard to look at someone and go, oh, I love your skin, what are you using? Or, that sort of thing, love your hair, or, whatever it is. The only compliment I can give someone is they smell nice, and which I do as often as I can. And so then sold skincare, injured my knee really badly, and spent 10 weeks sitting on my parents' couch, soul searching, thinking, what should I do? And I was invited to join the John Maxwell team of speakers, trainers, and coaches, because we'd done some of the training through Arbonne to help us be better consultants, better leaders. And so I was invited. I'd done a lot of the training and was applying it to my life. And so I was invited to join the team and retrain as a coach. And so I thought, oh, great. Yep, I'll do that. So went to the US, went to Orlando, and did my training and as a John C. Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach, and thought I wanted to be a career coach, because I thought, well, maybe people who have been laid off, who've lost their jobs, I'd love to be able to help them so they don't feel as lonely and as abandoned as I did and rejected. So I tried that for a while and got 2 clients and sort of thought, this isn't really going as well as I thought it should. So I actually stumbled across a coach online who was running this free webinar about how to become unstoppable. And it was one of my first ever Zoom webinars, and I'm eating my breakfast and she's talking away on this webinar, and I couldn't type questions into the chat fast enough. I was so excited. And before the end of the call, I'd booked in a call with her, and she was the one who, she said to me, oh, look, you're putting yourself in a box. You're restricting yourself. And I realized then that my life's purpose was to inspire and encourage others. And what I wanted to do was help them find their life purpose. And that's been refined slightly over the years. And now I live out my life's purpose as a speaker. So I encourage leaders to increase their success by focusing on their courage. So that's sort of my journey, as briefly as I can tell it.
Right. I think that is amazing. It's just amazing. Like when we go through things, difficult things, we don't, it's hard to think about, oh, well, maybe this is for the best, but we never know how our life may turn out, and everything turned out great for you because you did find your purpose, and sometimes, it takes time. And I think that's good for people to know. And that there is inspiring. Your whole entire story is inspiring, but that is inspiring that, not everything will turn out how we expect it. And, eventually things will fall into place.
That's why I wrote the book, because I reverse engineered the process into 3 steps. And I'm hoping that when people read the book, well, I've taken a few coaching clients through those steps, and they've discovered their life's purpose in a matter of weeks or months, rather than taking 5 years to do it. So that's why I wrote the book.
Okay, we can talk about the book. It is your new book is on pre-order. It's called Seeing by Vision, Not by Sight. Can you talk more about what it's about and when can we buy it?
I have to update the website. It's not on pre-order anymore. It's actually very much available. And you can purchase it from the website seeingbyvisionnotbysight.com. And It is, yes, as I said, I reverse engineered the 3 steps to discovering your life's purpose, which I believe is examining your past, examining your present, and examining your passions and dreams. And by doing those things, you start to see themes which run through all those things. And those themes point you towards your life's purpose. So the book it outlines the 3 steps in the first 5 chapters. That it talks about what purpose is and goes through those 3 steps and talks about my journey through those 3 steps. And then it also talks about other clients who I've taken through that coaching journey and what the themes were in their lives which pointed towards their life's purpose. And then the remaining chapters are the tools which I believe that you need along the way. They're things like courage and being able to deal with change and mindset and self-leadership. And I even write a chapter about managing your finances if you end up losing your job or quitting your job to find your life's purpose. And so they're all the tools that I believe that you need to discover your purpose. And there's exercises all the way through the book that you can do and spaces you can write in to take you or help you along on that journey.
I like this, like a journal. I like that concept. What can you share some of your clients' stories as a coach? Like what's one story that really made you feel grateful that you've like helped someone, or that they've told you like, Amanda, you were wonderful and you've helped me change my life?
Absolutely. There was one lady who I worked with, and she had always been musical all through her life. She was always playing the piano or singing duets with her brother or making some sort of music. But she was discouraged by her friends and family and colleagues from being a professional musician because, they thought she'd make a better income in a more regular job. So she finished school, got a job, worked for a telecommunications company for a long time until she was laid off, much like me. And just as she was going through that process of being laid off, she contacted me and asked me if I would coach her. And so we worked together for a while, and I took her through the steps. And by the time we'd finished, she had lost her job, and which gave her more space to really think about her passions and dreams and the themes that had run through her life. And she sort of rediscovered her dream to be a musician. So she went off and studied music, and she's written a song, a really beautiful song. I've actually heard her sing, so I know that she's a beautiful singer, and her life's purpose, we discovered, is to, how did we put it, is to inspire people through music and writing.
That's beautiful.
So she's in the process of launching a website with blogs and music, and she wants to perform. And so that was really cool.
That is amazing. Yeah, it's always amazing when you have a new journey. It gives you something to look forward to, and it's always good to wake up and feel like, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy helping people. It makes everything better.
It does, doesn't it? It does. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. And when times are hard, it actually gives you something to focus on to keep you going. If you know where your purpose is, it's like a compass direction, I suppose, or a GPS heading. You know where you're going. I'm showing my age here, aren't I?
No, I
compass directions.
I totally agree with you. Can we talk a little bit more about, or I guess maybe some advice for someone? Like, what would you recommend for someone who feels perhaps they feel lost, or they lost or they hate their job, or either they lost their job, COVID situations, and what advice would you give them to get them on the right track towards finding their purpose?
Really spend some time looking deep within. Be willing to face your fears. That's why I've sort of narrowed everything down to courage and helping people find their courage, because I think courage is fear is the one thing that stops many people from discovering their purpose. Oh, well, my parents say I should stay in this job, or, if I quit my job, then what will I do? That sort of thing. Perhaps I won't get another one. So it's often fear that keeps us in place. Towards the end of my 14-year or 17-year legal career, I wasn't happy in my job. I had become very unhappy in my job, but I was too afraid to do anything about it because I thought I'd over-specialised, because I was drafting legislation at that stage, which is a very specialised field. And I was afraid to step out until my hand was forced. So I guess my one piece of advice would be face your fears, name them, face them, conquer them, and then you'll be able to find your purpose.
I like that. So, well, while you're talking about facing your fears and courage, you climbed to an altitude of 10,000 feet in Nepal. And this is already amazing, but you did it blind. So, what made you climb the mountain? Was it to get over your fears?
Well, no, I was actually invited to go to Nepal in 1992 with a group of 5 other blind people. And it was a trip that was organised by the Guide Dogs Association of New South Wales and ACT. And it was organised for a number of reasons, to help us improve our mobility skills, our getting around skills, and also to show the public that blind people like to do the same sorts of things that sighted people like to do. We like to be challenged. We like to go to different places and do different things. And so I was invited to go on the trip, and I thought, I don't know anything about Nepal, and the only thing I know about Nepal is Mount Everest, and I'm really not fit enough to climb that. So, but then when I heard about the people who were going, there was a triathlete, there was an Olympic, Paralympic runner, there was, a lady in her late 60s. There was, all these amazing people. I just said, yeah, all right, I'll go. It sounds fun. I was halfway through my degree. I was a bit bored. I needed a challenge. So that's why I went to Nepal. And I didn't really know very much about climbing the mountain it was really only a hill. It was called Poon Hill. So anything under 10,000 feet or under a certain amount of feet is called a hill, even though it was like a mountain walking up it. So I did it for the adventure and for the challenge, and it was fun. I learned so much about myself. I took 6 months to get really fit. I went from exercising for 5 minutes a day on an exercise bike to using a Stairmaster for an hour twice a day with a backpack on my back. And so I got really fit and really strong. And each one of us had our own Sherpa guide, and I'd hang on to my guide's backpack. And so I could feel where his hips were moving. So I knew that he was stepping forward with his right foot. So when he stepped forward with his left, I had to step forward with my right foot into the spot where he'd stepped. And that's how I trekked through Nepal. And it was awesome. Learned lots about different culture and tried different food and met lots of lovely people. And it was great.
So I was going to ask you what was something that you learned from the experience, but I feel like you're fearless, like you're living in your dream, your dream career, your passion, and you're just fearless. And to do something like that, like I would question it myself. Like it's something I don't know if I would want to do that, so it makes me wonder, like, am I living in fear? Should I just live fearless? But what did you learn that you are fearless and you are able to just accomplish anything?
Well, I would question that. I'm actually not fearless. Courage is not mastery of fear. It's as courage is not the absence of fear. It's the mastery of fear, as Mark Twain said. And so, if I may I tell you another story?
Yes, please.
When I had just obtained my John C. Maxwell speaker qualification, I was invited by Guide Dogs New South Wales ACT to be a public relations speaker for them. And someone came down from Sydney, about 3 hours drive away, to interview me. And she said, "Oh, how are you going to get to speaking engagements?" And I said, "Oh, by taxi, like any other self-respecting speaker who can't drive." And she said, "What would you say if I told you you would have to get there by public transport?" And I hadn't caught a bus for about 20 years. And apparently all the colour drained from my face. I felt sick. In fact, I nearly threw up in her lap, because I knew in my heart of hearts that if I caught a bus on my own, I would get lost. And getting lost is the thing I fear the most. That scares me more than anything. Still does. But I had just finished reading the book, the John Maxwell book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And he was talking about authenticity, being an authentic communicator. You walk the talk. And so I thought, well, I can't really stand up in front of people and talk about independence if I'm being driven everywhere. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So they put me through 2 weeks of intensive training. And I started really small, just getting on and off a stationary bus and finding a seat. Then we drove around the block and I got on and off the bus, rang the bell, got on and off, found a seat. And then I progressed to a longer trip with a guide dog instructor sitting next to me, because I was still like super anxious. After each one of these things, I'd have to go and lie down because I'd have like a huge headache and I'd be exhausted. But now I travel all over Canberra to speak by bus, and I've got calm enough that I can actually check my email between stops on my phone. So it's and if I don't catch a bus for a while, so some of our speaking stuff has been shut down because of COVID, and I didn't catch a bus for about 3 months. And I was pretty scared when I got on the bus again, but I just had to take a deep breath and do it. So I'm actually not fearless. I just choose to master my fear and face it and push through it, because to be a speaker is my dream.
What are some of the things that you say to yourself? Like, how do you motivate yourself?
I use scripture a lot, as you can probably gather. I'm a committed Christian. So, God didn't give me a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind is one of my favorite ones. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me is another one. I pray, and then I just trust in God and thank him for my safety. And I remember once I was walking through the shopping centre and I was a little bit afraid of getting lost. And I thought, okay, mindfulness. Am I lost now? No. What about now? No, I'm not lost now. So I kept focusing on the fact that I wasn't lost rather than worrying about what would happen if I got lost. And the other day I was catching a bus and I got off the bus at the bus station, and I turned the wrong way and I got lost. And I stopped and I didn't panic. It was the first time ever. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. And I just asked someone, I need to head this way. Can you tell me which direction I need to go? And he gave me directions and I turned the right way and I got to where I needed to go and I was fine. So I just stayed in the moment rather than panicking about what might happen.
I thank you for sharing your story. I think mindset is important, and that does help. With any situation that we might. I think our minds like may start saying negative things, and we have to change our thought. So I appreciate you telling that story, because I'm sure a lot of people can understand that, and I can relate to that in the way that, like, I just had surgery recently, and not ever having anything wrong with me before, I was like freaking out. Like I was like scared out of my mind. And I had to learn how to like set reminders on my phone and, read positive things and say positive quotes just to turn my thoughts around. So I can relate to that. And I
Well
still
done,
think,
you.
yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think you're amazing, just recovering from surgery, doing podcasting. It's because anesthetic messes with your mind and does all sorts of things. So I think you're amazing and you're sounding fantastic. So yeah, good for you.
Oh, thank you. I think you're amazing, and I think that what you have done in your journey and everything, like it shows how strong you are, and um, how brave you are to just not let anything stop you. And things happen, but you just continue on your journey and continue living your passion.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Well, we are coming near the end of the podcast because Zoom has a certain amount of time that they will allow me on here. I gathered a game called Shenanigans after the name of the podcast. And it's just a way for us to play a fun game. And I have PG rated truth or dare. Is this something you would like to do? Do you want to choose the truth or dare?
Oh, that's a tricky one. As a courage person, I really should choose the dare, shouldn't I? But I love all those truth questions. So I was going to offer to sing a line from my favorite song, but I'm actually a bit croaky. So so I think I'll go for truth.
Okay. 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 Do you want me to read them all or read some
No,
of them?
you just pick one.
Okay. So let's see. Okay. What would you never do?
I would never bungee jump.
I say the same thing.
Because if I could bungee jump with the strap attached to my hands, I would do it, absolutely. But I absolutely hate going upside down. I don't know why. I always have. Hate going upside down. So the thought of falling through free space upside down just terrifies me. I would never do that. And there's never, I mean, apart from the adrenaline rush, there really isn't any good reason to bungee jump. So there isn't, the why that would overcome the fear. So no, I would never bungee jump.
I agree with the bungee jumping. I totally agree. Would you ever skydive though?
Potentially, as long as I could stay vertical. Yes, I would skydive. And I think hang gliding would be fun too.
The only thing, you don't have a parachute with that, do you?
You've got like a big kite thing.
Oh.
So you run and you jump off a cliff and you've got a big kite thing and you ride the thermal currents up and down. That would be fun.
Okay. It looks fun. It looks like you'll have, a lot of adrenaline.
Hot air ballooning was fun, except every time they started those burners, the big with a big loud noise, I just about nearly jumped out of the basket. And I turned to the guy who's doing it and said, for heaven's sake, will you warn me when you're going to do that? Because I'm not particularly good with loud noises. Actually, that's another thing I would do. I would not go to a firing range and fire a gun. Because I had to go there in Vietnam once and I just about nearly curled up under the seat and hid because I was so terrified. They were firing these AK-47s and it was so loud. It was awful.
Oh, no. You have a lot of, I would like to know more, but I don't want us to get cut off. But can you tell everyone where to find you? Like how can someone contact you for coaching? You can, if you have any social media.
I am on Facebook. I think if facebook.com/purpose vision future, because that's my business name, Purpose Vision Future. I'm also on, there's a contact form on my purposevisionfuture.com website. I'm also bringing up very soon my amandaheal.com.au website. That will be my speaker website if you want me to speak. So I can speak virtually and also face-to-face when we're allowed out of the country. So my email is Amanda@AmandaHeal, which is HEAL, Amanda@amandaheal.com.au. So there's some of the ways. I'm also linkedin.com/in/AmandaHeal. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And your last name is Heal, and I find that, what a coincidence, because you're healing people. You're helping them to get out of their darkness into finding their passion. And I just think
It's a good old-fashioned English name, apparently.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your story. I love how you don't let anything stop you. And, you show that no matter what you go through, anything is possible, and it is possible to live your passion. Sometimes we get stuck and we feel like, we have to be in this situation, but it always gets better, and we just have to change our mindset. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. I enjoyed talking to you today, and I appreciate your time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.